Um, I don't know why, but whenever I tell my story, it's such a weird and hard thing to tell. Sometimes I just tell it, it feels easy, and I don't really care. Sometimes it feels hard, and I just don't want to talk about it. Um, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been through a lot, and even before my leg, then I lost my leg and almost died. Um, but then still survived, technically looked death in the eye and said, "Not today." Now here I am. Who would have thought? Not a 15-year-old me. Sometimes I don't know where to start my story. Sometimes I start from the end, sometimes from the beginning, sometimes somewhere in the middle. And for now, I think the way to start a story is to just start where it all began. For me, everything began on February 2022. As most of you should know, that Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. I will never forget the day. It was Thursday, February 24th. For me, it was supposed to be a regular day. I was about to go to my classes, but when I woke up that morning, everything stopped. I was born in a big and poor family with a lot of problems besides being poor. We lived in the small village in the middle of nowhere, and the region where we lived was occupied almost the same day. 1 month later, we ran out of food. On March 27th, 2022, me, my mom, my stepfather, we left our home to go to the nearest city and search for food. It wasn't a good idea, and I probably was the only person that actually realized that. But there was also no choice. It's either we're risking or we're not. It was Sunday. And I will never forget that day because that morning could have been my last one. On the way there, we had to walk through a forest. I would say it was the safest place to be. Essentially, we had to reach a highway and then turn to the city. But right before we left the forest, I stopped and yelled to my parents, "There's a tripwire." It was a tiny silver wire a foot away from my chest. I don't know why I even noticed it. We turned around and choose another path, and essentially we got out of the forest and got on the freeway, started walking towards the city. We had to cross a bridge. There was a lot of soldiers and they stopped us. We had to go through a full check. They checked our backpacks, our phones, and they let us go. We kept walking, and on the way there, we saw these soldiers putting landmines on the side of the roads. A couple dozen of tanks passed by. Once you hear the sound of tank driving on the road, that sound will stay forever with you. It's a small earthquake, very loud. You feel the vibration all the way to the bone. We reached the city and we were able to find food. We were happy. We had hope. We stocked up, took everything we could carry, and head back home. About halfway through, we stopped to take a rest and drink some water. It was harder to walk back because we were carrying a lot of stuff on our backs. Another column of tanks passed by. It was bigger, longer, and louder. It was scary. And 15 minutes later, we heard another column coming. We were almost by the bridge. We didn't risk making any extra moves. We were walking one behind another one because those people were coming back from battlefield. They were killing people. Who knows how many and who they killed. They were sick. Any move could just provoke them. Um, the tanks got closer. The sound got louder. At some point, it was so loud. Every muscle in my body got so tense. My body just prepared. I felt like something is about to happen, and it wasn't good. I felt like something is going to hit me in the head from behind. And I wanted to turn around and look at it. As soon as I started to turn my head, everything went blank. The ground disappeared, and I was surrounded by darkness. I thought I died. I passed out. I wasn't able to open my eyes, and still I was able to think and process my thoughts. I was able to think about the tank, what happened, and I realized that I might be dead, and that soon could be my after. Then I woke up. It wasn't a magical movie style kind of thing where something bad happens to you and you wake up in the hospital safe, there's doctors taking care of you, lights, it's warm and safe. No, I was still there on the side of the road. I couldn't feel my foot. I never broke anything, so I assumed I broke my leg. Everything else was fine. I just couldn't feel my foot. I tried to get up and I saw it. I saw my shoe and my foot inside of it, just hanging on a piece of my pants. It was gone. I already knew that that wasn't something that they can just sew it back. I knew that if I don't die, I will be disabled. I will lose my leg and be useless. And then there was a whole hour of just fighting for my life. We were in the middle of nowhere. My mom was awake. She was panicking. I couldn't get her to call for help. I used her purse to make a tourniquet, slower the bleeding. My phone died, so I don't know even how I had a thought to take the battery out and rub it against my sweater to charge it. And I did. I turned my phone on and I was able to call for help. It took them about an hour to get there. And during that hour, anything could happen. I started yelling for help, crying, laughing, singing. I was singing Ukrainian anthem. Um, Ukrainian folk songs. This doesn't happen often. Then first ambulance came. They took my stepfather first because he was about to die. They called for a second one, and I got to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I was so tired. This doesn't happen. Why now? Oh my god, this never happens. I was so tired and I didn't even care if I die anymore. Um, I kind of just, I don't know. At some point, the anesthesiologists were standing beside me and they started chatting and joking, and I started joking with them. And then they were like, "We don't have any anesthesia." And I was like, "What? Wait, is that a joke?" And unfortunately, it wasn't. The hospital was ran out of supplies. They did the surgery without anything. There was no blood. I remember a lot. They put a thing in my mouth so I don't bite my tongue off or crash my teeth. They tied my hands, and I really wanted to hit someone. Then I just passed out and woke up in the middle of the night. Doctors were around me, nurses started doing their stuff. It was a good news that I woke up. There was no blood to donate, and they didn't know how much blood I lost. They thought there was a high chance that I wouldn't make it. I didn't know whether my leg was still there or not. They put covers over it. I had a phantom limb, so for a couple days I thought I had my foot. One day they just lifted the covers and I saw it. I was surprised and it looked weird. It was sad, but I was okay with it. And then 6 months later, I came to San Diego. 6 months later, my new life began. On March 27th, on Sunday, my life stopped, turned around, and then started again. Now I live here 4.5 years later. Yeah, I still have a lot of struggles. I just had 4 surgeries in the past 8 months, but I have new family, friends, I go to college, I went to high school, and now I'm here. 15-year-old me would never thought that something like this could happen. And now I think whether I should edit this video or not. That crying moment is a bit weird, but I'm happy. I'm happy that I lost my leg. I'm happy for my disability. That's it. Thank you.